What's better than a pro? Xbox knows. And diving into this, is it a wise decision? Let's get into this monumental topic, which is about to change the landscape of video games for you and me. Welcome to Xbox Frontline News with your boy, The King. Now, I don't know if this is your first time finding the channel. I don't know if somebody shared it to you, recommended it, but I'm here to extend a courtesy to you that you can join, you can follow, you can become a member. And as a member, you get special perks. You get badges, you get discounts off on the merch store. And you also get the chance to see these wonderful statues that I have here in the background as I go in depth about those on KOS. Those drop Tuesday for members, and also Combat Talk with the King. We're working out the kinks on that. More stuff is coming, like more stuff in the merch store. That stuff is getting up and running. And if you want to support during the Patreon, there's another way for you to support the channel. This channel is an Xbox-centric channel where we talk about the latest in Xbox news, but we also talk about all of gaming as a whole. We talk about PlayStation, we talk about Nintendo, we talk about PC, handhelds, anything, you name it, we talk about it. If it's worthy of the news, we're worthy to cover it and bring that straight to you. So, with that being said, all right, so we all heard about the news of the PlayStation 6 Pro. That should be releasing, September next year at $600. And that was brought to you by Jeff Grubb. You know, Jeff Grubb is like the E.F. Hutton of our time. If you don't know who E.F. Hutton is, when E.F. Hutton talks, everybody listens, right? And they kind of gave a couple of the specs of the PlayStation 6 Pro. And it was just a minor bump to the PlayStation 5. I mean the PlayStation 5 Pro. It was just a minor bump to the PlayStation 5 base console itself, which is kind of needed in a sense, not necessarily. And I think that's a huge mistake on Sony's part in even undertaking that aspect of the PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't think that it should be done. I think that puts them in a weird position. That they can't release their PlayStation 6 if there's supposed to be a PlayStation 6. You already know on this channel, I'm telling you, hashtag no PlayStation 6. We're going to keep the boot on the neck of Sony this whole generation until otherwise further notice. But when I say that it doesn't make any sense for them to do a PlayStation 5 Pro, it's because it puts them in this position where Microsoft will do exactly what they did to the PlayStation 3. They will release the 360 at least, 2 years ahead of time. So they will release the new console. And that's what we're here to talk about today. The new Xbox console that will have a Zen 5 processor, not a Zen 6, because it won't be ready in the time that they want to release it. And they want to release this in 2026. For all you guys talking about Xbox is getting out of the hardware business by 2027, you look like fools, because in 2026 they start in the next generation. And that puts PlayStation in a terrible position, because they would have already released the PlayStation 5 Pro. And to give the consumers that value for the console, they will have to support that console for at least 3 to 4 years. And then the next Xbox will release, and it would put them behind the 8 ball, because the next generation of games will start on Xbox. Now, you would say that the PlayStation 6 will come and blow the doors off of it. Remember, all third-party publishers skew to the lowest common denominator that will not put them in a position of power. Now, I was told in the backgrounds that that it would be AI powered. I didn't understand what they were talking about, but in doing research and looking exactly at what the text is about, the AI part is probably a chip on board, much like a APU that AMD used to employ. I don't know if they still employ APUs now, but much like an APU, which with AI enabled chip, which will upscale and probably take the load off of the CPU or the GPU, given whatever task is needed, and that will lend. I'm not an engineer, so that will, my interpretation of what was sent is that will lend to smarter upscaling of resolution, AI of characters in the game, NPCs in the game, larger, lusher worlds. To be honest with you, it all sounds Greek to me. My only question was, what would the graphics look like? Would the graphics be, you know, better than the generation that we have now? I was told, of course. And I expect nothing less. I guess the hard drives will become a little bit faster, because by that time we will have to use faster hard drives. I want to know the storage space. Well, we launch with 2 terabits because video games are getting larger in scope and in size and in download size. We tend to see games are tearing up that 1 terabit, right? So we have to rush out and buy that. Would Microsoft, excuse me, because I'm still under the weather, will Microsoft continue the proprietary hard SSDs that they put, the portable SSDs? Will they continue that to keep with the lineage of the series consoles? Because I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, what does the Series S turn into once they launch the next generation? Does the Series X becomes the de facto cheaper model, which can be sold at a deficit? You say it could be sold at probably $300, and then the new console can be sold at $600. I possibly believe that is a possible price point. I think $599 for the new console will definitely be in line with the pricing, but the new PlayStation would definitely be more than that. It will be close to $700, $800 when thinking about the specs that are being talked about now. And they're talking about using a Zen 6. I personally believe that is a total mistake if the machine even comes out, because if Microsoft comes out and gets such a head start with putting Call of Duty in the box, you can say Grand Theft Auto at that time, you do a ramp up, whereas you can bundle Grand Theft Auto and Game Pass and Call of Duty and whatever title, Perfect Dark or something like that. There's a lot of things that Microsoft can do with all the companies that they do have under their belt at the moment. And I think that puts PlayStation in a terrible position. I don't believe PlayStation gets out of this generation unscathed, because it makes no sense to launch into next generation with such a huge deficit, with Microsoft having such a head start. This is not the same Microsoft that, with the 360 and then fumbled it to the Xbox One. You're going to see a Microsoft that is more focused, more determined, and more vicious in their approach to rooting out whatever thought of competition that is in that space. And if you've seen, Microsoft has handed out the 10-year contracts for Call of Duty across the board. So that means, get down and lay down, you have to bend the knee. But I'm going to tell you, like, follow, and subscribe. And this is the part where the catchphrase gets dropped at the bottom. But this was some sobering news. I want to know, what did y'all expect from the next Xbox? Do you expect it to have a hard drive? I mean, not a hard drive. Do you expect it to have a disk drive? Do you expect it to be all digital? Or do you expect it to be all digital and for them to adopt what Sony has just done by selling the disk drive separate? It can alleviate costs. It can get it down to a price point where it makes you, definitely happier. They can probably bring that thing in at $499. If they bring it in at $499 and not $600, that changes the complexity of the next generation battle. Well, this is Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. You know the motto. Try to play the Game Pass.